Hey everybody, my name is Kevin Miller, and this will be my presentation for the Mix and Mingle PDF session. So this is for my PY 490B course over the internship. I did my internship this fall with SOS. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for my PowerPoint. All right, so like I said, I worked with SOS here in Emporia, and I'll talk a little bit more about what they do and also give you some information if you're at all interested in doing an internship there. So I really enjoyed my time with SOS. Their goal is to empower and advocate for those affected by sexual and domestic violence, child abuse, and neglect. So that's basically their mission statement. I believe they're a nonprofit, so they really don't take any money from clients, especially for legal work and services. It's all free to clients, which is a really cool thing. And so there's a lot of sociology and psychology involved in that. Sociology is actually my minor, so that's how I kind of got tied to it. A lot of the other people who have done internships at SOS that I know of are also in the sociology department as well. So really interesting stuff there. There are also some ties to ESU within SOS. So the headed outreach I actually had as a professor last spring in the sociology department. I had Mrs. Halloran for criminal court process. It was funny to go back to outreach and see her there after she had me as a student. And also the advocate that I worked under at outreach graduated from ESU. So that was really cool as well. We have to talk quite a bit about that. And so, yeah, there are different duties at SOS. So there are two basically partitioned components to SOS. So first there's the shelter, and it's basically is a house, and it's for survivors and their families. So basically we provide housing and resources for that. We have a lot of clothes and food there. And so basically, when you work there, everybody that starts with SOS starts at the shelter. We do a lot of training online first, but then once we get into that, we answer the helpline, which is a 24-hour hotline for SOS. We also maintain and clean the shelter, and we basically do just anything we can to help the clients transition from their former situation into a new one with the shelter. So also with the helpline, we basically are there 24 hours a day. Somebody's there to answer your call. And so that's really cool. If you look up SOS, it's basically a 24-hour number. So that's really interesting as well. And then there's also outreach, which is more like an outpatient kind of version of what SOS offers. So our clients actually will meet with us, basically on an as needed basis, but it's more common to see them like once a week or so. And so our advocates work with them. Most of the clients are former shelter clients, so they've been housed in the shelter at some point in time, but they don't have to be. If somebody calls us asking for our services, we're not just going to turn them away because they haven't gone into shelter. We're more than cool with that. So yeah, our advocates do a lot of work with safety planning and legal work, as well as emotional support, which I'll get into a little bit more later on. So basically what I did with outreach, I'll kind of go in like a linear fashion of what I did. I started out in August and I did a lot of the online work, whether that be webinars, watching documentaries, or completing a lot of that work. There's a lot of training involved. I think, it amounted to maybe like 40 hours or so. So it was quite a bit considering that the internship and the hours of outreach I did were about 90, almost that's basically like a time and a half when you include all the training I did. But I think it's really valuable. A lot of it involves de-escalation tactics and conflict management. So it was important to know for sure. But yeah, that's basically what I started out by doing. And then after that, you start by doing I did some weekends at the shelter and basically helped out with the helpline, with the cleaning, and with the clients. So yeah, and then after that, I transitioned, I would say about mid-September to outreach, where I spent the rest of my time there. That's where I spent my 90 hours, I would say. And then what advocates at Outreach do, they basically are involved with safety planning, and they help out with a lot of the legal work involved with getting protection from abuse orders or protection from stalking orders. And we also do a lot to provide emotional support to clients. So there's a big push in the crisis services and basically helping professions to be more trauma informed. A lot of the populations we work with have undergone some trauma, whether that be with domestic violence or abuse or even earlier on in their life. So we like to be as sensitive to that as possible and provide the best experience for trauma informed stuff, which I would highly recommend looking into if you're at all interested in becoming a clinician or anything like that. Trauma informed care is a really interesting revolution going on in the field right now, and it has some very, even though it's very new, it has some very promising implications. So we like to stay up to date at Outreach, and we watch a lot of webinars and documentaries, and we basically just stay up to date with research regarding trauma informed care. So I'll go a little bit more into what I learned. Um, so yeah, to preface things, basically, if you're at all interested in working with populations that have undergone violence or abuse in an intimate partner setting, I would highly recommend doing an internship, whether that be in community health centers or with SOS or an agency like SOS, because there's a lot more to those issues than a textbook can give you. Like I said, I'm a psych major and sociology minor, so I've read a lot about these issues, but working in a field, you actually learn, or working in the field, you learn so much more, and you learn that there's so much more to it than a textbook could ever provide you with. So, one of the first things I learned is the power and control wheel as it relates to domestic violence. And basically, that's a theoretical framework that goes more into how there's a lot more to domestic violence and abuse than just the physical violence or neglect or abuse. So when the police get called for domestic violence or abuse, there's already been a lot going on before the physical violence even starts. And a lot of that involves manipulation or emotional coercion, which the perpetrator does to their target. And so that's a really great resource, I think, if you're going to be a clinician or work with people who have undergone domestic violence or abuse. I would highly recommend looking into that because it definitely changed my perception as far as how these things occur. So, yeah. And if you're at all interested in SOS, lucky for you, I provided some contact information. So, this is the internship coordinator at SOS. She works a lot at shelter as well. Her name's Angie Bauer. So I would highly recommend shooting her an email if you're all interested in SOS or if you need an internship in next semester or maybe even next year. I would highly recommend doing it at SOS. I had a really great experience and I worked with some pretty phenomenal people. So yeah, I thought it was a great experience and I would highly recommend it to anybody at all interested in it. And then there are my references. So yeah, that concludes my PowerPoint. Obviously, I appreciate you all watching. And so, yeah, thanks again for watching and have a great day.